What's the most too far you've ever seen a high school prank go? Kid decided to post on Facebook that he was going to shoot up the school, then not show up the next day. The lockdown lasted 6 hours past the final bell until they found this kid. Someone let a greased pig loose in the school. It basically ran around and was pretty funny. Teachers did try to catch him, but basically they opened doors and figured the pig would run outside. The janitor went caveman and killed the pig with a broken broom handle. Blood all over the floor. Janitor was fired that day. This is around a week after the Parkland shooting in Florida. Some freshmen thought it would be a cool idea to bring in a BB pistol during school hours. All the staff thought he was an actual school shooter, and there were a lockdown with everyone ready to throw some heavy books at the first person who came in their rooms. He got expelled, and some say that he got sent to juvie. Edit: I should probably provide more context. The dude was planning to play a prank on a friend of his by pulling out the BB gun. And that's how I spent 3 hours in my chemical class panicking. Also how the staff realized. A year before I transferred to a school, I learned that some seniors greased the steps with baby oil, causing students to slip and fall, including teachers, one of which was several months pregnant. The principal ordered that they do not get to walk for graduation. There was this whole mess with the parents fighting to get the punishment overturned. Some of the students got punished and others got to walk for graduation. The parents were like, no one got seriously hurt and it was just a prank, but seriously? At high school, someone in my year group decided it would be a funny idea to run and tackle a bin that was leaning on a pole. He then pretended to be unconscious, and as the group of students watched on, rumors started to go around that he jumped off the second-story walkway and tackled the pole in the air and then fell towards the ground. He continued to pretend to be unconscious, and as soon as the ambulance arrived to check on his injuries, he suddenly jumped up and ran off into the distance and out of the school. Seniors in my high school locked all the exits with bike locks and pulled the fire alarm. They were charged. A guy in my class put a tack on a chair, like in old cartoons. When a classmate sat in that chair, it was not funny. A couple of underclassmen crashed a wholesome senior prank and ruined it. The original prank was spray painting the graduating class year all over the building in washable paint, but these kids came by after they were done and did swears and slurs. The graduating class almost didn't walk until parents kept complaining that their kid or kids wasn't at fault. They ended up having to do whatever they did to cover up the writings, and there was still a pillow with a dick on it for a few weeks after. When I was a freshman, the senior prank was releasing farm animals into the school. A couple had to be put down because of injuries they sustained while running loose. My senior year, someone shit on the cafeteria floor and then surrounded it with some sort of clear oil. One of the janitors got hurt trying to clean it up. I'm all for a funny pranks, but this was just vandalism and cruelty. In senior year, my genius classmates thought it would be a good idea to take all the books out of the library and make a giant book mountain. Needless to say, we spent around 7 hours learning the Dewey Decimal System. I was livid when the administration forced our whole class to resort the books, even though it was like 3 idiots who made the whole mess. Someone bought multiple bottles of this stuff called liquid ass and absolutely poured like 10 bottles of the stuff in the men's restroom. It was truly the smell of putrid, rotting dead elephant shit. It was horrendous. If I smelled a dead body, it would be the second worst thing I've ever smelled. It was that bad. Our poor janitor was assigned to clean it up, and so he walked in and immediately projectile vomited all over the bathroom and quit the job on the spot. We were now out a janitor, and the mess now had a new addition of vomit on top of 10 bottles of liquid ass. It took a while to find a new janitor, so the vomit just sort of sat there for a week, and it was basically a biohazard at that point. A new janitor eventually cleaned the mess in a full bodysuit, but even after bleaching everything we could still smell it for over 6 months. They had to permanently remove the front door to that bathroom. Spraying people with nair hair remover. During one of my siblings' tenure, a few students broke into the gymnasium and turned hoses onto the basketball court. Completely ruined everything as it ran a good part of the night. I believe they caught and expelled all of them. My class had a few people superglue as many door locks they could reach. That really made everyone happy. Why the old, carry the teacher's Volkswagen into the quad prank, that at least only caused some inconvenience and not property damage became a thing of the past, I'll never know. Someone shot out a bunch of windows at my high school. Much more aggressive than the staircase covered in little cups of water. Someone put a couple of dead fish in the laundry dryer at my boarding school. We also had a 3-year string of phantom poopers who would just take shits in random places like corridors, urinals, etc. Must have been different people, because you can only be there for 2 years at a time, most do 1. Someone put their own feces under a teacher's desk. So the senior class 2 years ahead of me forked the lawn in front of the school. A classic, right? Well, they took it a bit further. Instead of buying plastic forks in bulk, the seniors, for their whole school year, methodically pocketed the metal silverware from lunch and breakfast. Not every piece every time, but just enough that the lunch staff would think it was accidental loss. We have a small class size, so kids would bus their own trays by dumping the scraps into big trash cans, and sometimes people would forget to take their silverware off first, and they'd get lost. We had regular announcements at lunch reminding us to make sure we didn't throw away the utensils. So in this massive conspiracy that only they knew about, they collected hundreds of metal utensils. The night before their last day of classes they snuck into the school grounds and methodically stuck hundreds of forks, knives, and spoons into the grass a foot apart each. To make it worse, one of the 2 custodians had recently been fired, and the remaining custodian was an older guy who was perfectly kind, and in an ideal world, should have retired sooner. He had to pick them all up by himself. I heard one of the teachers came in early and helped him a little bit and saw the custodian had tears falling down his cheeks. A group of kids staged a kidnapping one time. They borrowed a van and drove in front of a busy shopping center. One guy, pretending to escape, jumped out the trunk all wrapped up in duct tape. To the horror of all the bystanders, the van stopped, 2 kids ran out and recaptured the escapee and drove off. Cops had to go to their homes when the van was identified, and they had a lot of clearing up to do. Had a mate in a neck brace for a year because him and another mate would frequently push each other into things like walls, railings etc. as a joke. The other mate decided to one-up him by pushing him down a flight of stairs. When I was a freshman there was a tree that was planted when the school was founded. The seniors destroyed it. Everyone was effing pissed. Not seen, but the senior class, before I was a freshman, had dumped whole buckets of crickets into all of the school's garbage cans. Fast forward, a fight broke out at lunch, and a student was knocked into one of the garbage cans and thousands of crickets spilled out onto the concourse, causing a massive riot. I'm talking mobs of kids leaving the school. The school was infested with crickets for years. At my high school, when I was a freshman, a group of seniors had broken into the school the night before with hundreds of bottles of lube to grease up all the staircases in the school. Like 15 kids went to the hospital. One kid cracked his head open and had to be rushed to the ER. Dude in my school had a crummy old car that the lock was broken and could easily be put in neutral and pushed around. The steering still locked, so mostly kids would push it into a parking space ahead or behind of it. One day they pushed it, and it got away from them and it damaged a teacher's car. The kids owned up to it, but considering the owner was so sick of his car being messed with, he called the police. Turns out moving a car a few meters is considered vehicle theft around here, and 3 kids were charged and expelled. Great, you made it to the end. Now smash that like button and subscribe for even more videos like this one.